Bagseed Chronicles is a podcast about cannabis and the people who enjoy it.
Bringing it on and feeding off of it, hopefully not like a vampire. The real Bong Marley, everyone check him out.
Sounds overwhelming.
It is 85 degrees in my studios, and all the fans have been turned off in the grow tent for your listening pleasure. Soon it will be Halloween, or Samhain for all you truly spooky queens out there, and a happy harvest time to all you true heads. Can you dig it? Welcome to the Bagseed Chronicles. This is Uncle Dig, your humble host and cannabis enthusiast. And today I have a lovely interview with Bong Marley, where we talk a little bit about his new job as a budtender, glass collecting, exercise, and a bit about life. But before we get to that lovely interview, I am sure you are wondering, what is going on in my garden? Uncle Dig's garden update. Hey everyone, it is October 20th, 2022. I am in gardening zone 8B, and this is your garden update. I only have a few pepper plants left, and I haven't been a pickling fool. I may have to pickle even more after I'm done recording this episode. I've also pickled the last big harvest of hot peppers, and I froze the rest for making hot sauce later on in the year. I harvested the smaller fire of maroof, and due to caterpillars and mites, I was only able to save about 20 grams of flour. It's top shelf flour, but there isn't very much of it, unfortunately. And none of you, even my very fine friends, will get to smoke any of it. Sorry. However, my buddy has a clone of it, and hopefully I'll be able to get started with an indoor run of it to see if it does better indoors soon. I harvested the bigger one just yesterday, on Wednesday, but I don't know how much it yielded yet, so we'll see how that goes. The outdoor autoflowers are not putting on very big flowers, I think in part due to the cold, but I still hope to harvest sometime in November by possibly moving them in and out of the rain onto a covered balcony at night. Let's hope it doesn't freeze before I can pull something off these two big buds. Unfortunately, just recently, I think a cat or something has been coming and chewing on these autoflowers. So I'm just having all kinds of weird luck. The two indoor autoflowers, however, are doing very well. Both Tangerine Dream autoflowers are in the first couple of weeks of flower, and they've already gotten some CalMag, and then the next feeding, they're going to get some Fox Farms Open Sesame. I'm going to feed and then flush. I'm not going to flush feed like I normally do. I'm going to feed them a little heavier and see what that does and see how the plants tolerate it. So they're going on my little micro grow here in my studio. And as soon as I'm done drying this fire of maroof in my garage, I'll start up the 4x4 as soon as I get money for some dirt and stuff, and we'll get it started. We're going to do an autoflower run, and then hopefully we'll do a Fire of Maroof 5 run once I get that clone, and I'll do that in the other 2x2 here soon. Anyway, I really look forward to sharing my upcoming indoor adventures with y'all, and I hope that everyone is doing really good in the garden, everyone has a good harvest, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Hey everyone, welcome to the Bagseed Chronicles. Today I have joining me the real Bong Marley. Bong Marley is a cannabis activist and budtender on the Washington State rec market. He's appeared on this podcast several times before, and we're so happy to have him back. Hey Bong.
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
Always happy to have you. Always good to talk to you.
Definitely.
Hey, how's the weather up there in Washington?
It is unusually strange because I mean it's normally by this time it's cooled off, but man, still deep into October we've been experiencing the mid to high 80s. It's insane.
It was 91 here in Southern Oregon today.
Yeah, this is I'm not understanding what it is. I liked it for the first couple of weeks, but at this point I'm not too much of a fan anymore. I can't say I'm enjoying it.
Bugs are eating my last plants alive because of this heat. They're all getting a second run in.
Yeah, I'm just kind of ready for, hoodie season and just for it to start getting rainy and it's been a really long summer for some reason.
It really has been a long summer, and I've been enjoying it like you said, but it is freaking like my like yearly like metronome up as far as like the garden, because like the calendar says it's time to slow down. The plants are finishing up. I'm in a full-blown battle with pests still because of the heat.
Yeah, man,
I'm
there ain't
still
going
running
down.
around like it's July or some shit. It's rough.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, man. I'm ready for the rain.
But I have been enjoying walking around in my sliders in October. That's been
Oh,
fun.
see, tiny pluses to it. I like it, man.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
works.
for sure, for sure, for sure. Are you doing anything in the garden, or is it mainly all work for you like it normally is?
Man, it's all work just because like I said, I've doubled up on the the work at this point. I'm juggling two jobs, so the gardening is definitely not really in the cards at this moment.
That makes sense. Well, what are you smoking on today?
Man, today I got some lemon pepper as well as some deep fried ice cream. I know both food items, but but not, and they're both highly different flavors, but both
Whoa,
also
is that cannabis cultivars?
so those, yeah, those actually are the strains. One of them is from Fat Panda, the 502 processors out here in Washington State.
I got Fat Panda, and then you broke off.
Oh, Narrow's Cannabis is going to be the second one where the deep fried ice cream is from.
Okay, so let's talk about that first strain. What is that called again? Deep fried ice cream,
Lemon,
lemon
no, yeah,
pepper.
lemon pepper is the first one. Yeah.
Okay, so I imagine it tastes just like it sounds.
I was going into it. I think I had a bit high of an expectation for it because of the name. It it has a tiny bit of spice to it, but it is definitely very, very heavy on the limonene terpene there. It's that mouthwatering citrus flavor, but
Okay.
just a hint of spice to it. Not as much as I was anticipating, unfortunately, because that I love lemon pepper chicken, so that name had a lot to live up to.
Right, and I was thinking lemon pepper tuna. So I was like, oh man, if that
Yeah,
was some fishy weed,
just
right?
something. Yeah, not quite. I mean, it wasn't
No.
terrible.
Well, no,
It
no,
wasn't.
and everyone loves a lemon strain these days.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
deep fried ice cream. What is that about?
That is just a heavy double indica cross. Oh, the name was actually I forgot the cross on it, but it was just a play on the name of the original parents. It's not really a tell on the flavor, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I'm a big fan of those heavy indicas, and
Yeah,
if
I
it's
can't lie.
fried, it's
There's
gonna put you to sleep, right?
exactly, it is a heavy indica. And I'm not gonna lie. There's been quite a few times that I've made my selection just based on the name alone.
Oh
The
yeah.
yeah, the names are entertaining for sure.
So I know that last time we talked, you were like involved in the industry to some degree, but now you've actually become a bud tender, right? And that
I
wasn't the case before, right?
That was not. Yes, this is new as within the last probably 8 or 9 weeks or so. Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was new, and I wanted to kind of have you on and talk about that. Has that been fun?
Man, it has been a whirlwind, but yes, loads of fun for sure. I've learned quite a bit of facets from the industry that it kind of there was things I had speculations about, and this kind of put it to rest. And I can't say everything that I found out I'm happy about, but
Oh, for
that
sure.
comes with any industry in the market,
Right.
So
So did you learn anything that really surprised you when you got behind the counter?
I mean, I wouldn't say surprised me more than just like it gave me a little bit more insight and kind of helped my outlook on things. Because I kind of figured just still being even California in the long run of things, it's still considered a baby industry with this, considering how long like other big farmers been around. So there's a lot of cost issues and as far as loopholes and taxes they have to pay just
Right.
in the way they make up for trying to offset the taxes is just kind of pathetic because there's so many gray areas still. Like for example, just they tax you out the yin yang here in Washington State for being a legal grower and just being any part of the cannabis industry. So one thing they do is like try to sell your paraphernalia to offset it because they're not taxing that it's not a cannabis product. So,
That's so funny.
yeah, they can kind of make up some of the wiggle room, but it is here in Bremerton, the city that I live in. We have probably about I'd say 7 or 8 shops. It's a town of less than 50,000 people, so
Right,
it's
right,
pretty decent there. We love our weed here.
right.
Um, but there's also a couple of different LCB officers, the Liquor Control Board, that come and regulate the stores, and they're assigned a certain store. But it's crazy that they would put more than one in such a small area. But our particular one has decided he doesn't want to let us sell any kind of merchandise that has like logos on it or any kind of thing like that.
No
But you go
t-shirts, hippie. Fuck you.
literally, so like you go down the road to some of the other shirts, man, and they got all or, the other stores, and they got all sorts of merchandise. They got mugs and everything else like that because their LCB officers like, hey, I mean, there's nothing explicitly written against it, so go for it.
What a
But they
fucking
do have
yokelhead.
yeah, so you would think just being such a regulated market that there would enforcement would be, level across the board, but it's like open to interpretation. They give these set of rules to your assigned LCB officer and they can kind of enforce them as they please.
I think
For
that
doing something.
you'll find that in alcohol that's been going on for a long
Yeah, but I
time.
mean, you know what I mean? It's think something so blatant like that. It's like it's a sweatshirt or something. It's
Well, yeah, but it's just
why
like
go
I
out of your
remember
way
there were
to
certain convenience stores back home in Texas that would
yeah,
get
like
nailed like 3 or 4 times for selling beer to underage kids. And then
yeah,
there'd
like
be like a high school party in the parking lot of one and never get busted.
yeah, like I mean, how many people have you seen wearing a Budweiser shirt, but you saying we can't put something that just has buddies on it, like our logo? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it makes
That's
no
not
sense.
cool, man.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
cool.
and that sucks because that makes everyone look twice at cops when maybe they shouldn't, but you should look twice. But
Yeah, it gives them too much. I feel like it kind of gives some of those a little bit too much of a power trip because they can enforce these how they want.
well, and
I
they'll
don't,
sell
I don't,
that leeway to you. They'll sell you like, well,
yeah,
I can let you off if I have a little leeway, but that's not what they
well,
use it for. They use it to
I'm
nail you to
sure
the
that
wall.
exactly. Yeah, and I don't agree with that. It's, you know,
So,
and
yeah, go ahead.
and just like the with I always wondered how a store would make in a competitive market and such, how you get better deals and such, but there's essentially a standard across the market of a 3.5 times markup. And most people would try to overcut that at times for a while and then undercut it maybe for a month or so just to make it seem like they have a good deal when actually that's really where they're supposed to be. That's the industry minimum, like because they have to sell it for a certain amount
Wild.
only because the amount they have to that's the I think it's like 1.9 or 2.1. It's somewhere in there. That's the percentage that they calculated. If they mark it up like that, then that's the bare minimum that they mark it up to cover the taxes. So it's like their minimum is just making sure they get their money. Like
So
the government gets their money.
so they don't double it. They're triple. That's crazy.
Yeah. So pretty much anything on the recreational market here in Washington State, unless that store, that specific like retailer has worked something out with the grower, because like we have a couple products where we're gonna always get the better deal than anybody else in town.
Right.
But, like that's what you're gonna see. Pretty much everything is gonna be marked up at least 3.5 times from what they purchased it
And,
for.
and they're barely making money on that. They're making money on the
Yeah,
glass.
exactly.
So that explains because like so you've been around. You've been to dispensaries in Oregon, yeah.
Oh yeah,
So you walk into a dispensary in Oregon. There's like a shelf of glass. It might have dust on it. That's
yeah,
for people that are here that don't already have it. That's for newbies or people that literally just need a bong while they're in town. That's not
yeah,
for they're not making money on that. They have that as like a courtesy, almost like
yeah,
a hey, we have a basic bong here, we have a basic spoon. So if you
yeah,
literally need to get your weed and something to smoke it in, we've got that. But no one goes to that shelf.
yeah.
But
And
in
you see,
Washington, it's part of the thing. Like I went,
yeah,
there's this dispensary in Tacoma A couple of them I've been to, they'll have a whole wall of glass,
Yeah.
underlighted and stuff.
And that's essentially the reason why is because they're trying to use that to offset the crazy amount of taxes because the math works out to they only take home like 46 cents of every dollar spent or something. Like it's terrible.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's absolutely no money in it right now.
right. And
Um,
I don't know about you, but I've noticed because I was a part of the medical scene before legalization hit, and I noticed that all that shit got more expensive once
oh,
legalization happened.
well, definitely because they figured out a way to make it change hands more times. That's all it is. I mean, if you can tax it more, the more times it changes hands and such, because you can find more rules and opportunity for errors and whatever. It creates jobs that way when you can split it up that way.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, that's really what it's going for. But yeah, one thing like about it's so different, drastically different, because like out of the Oregon market, you go in the store and they have like you have your black sticker weed or your purple sticker weed, by levels, it's kind of tiered. Everything's open jar. See the bud tending here in Washington State is different because you don't have the ability. Half the time, you can't even show them the weed because it's
Dude,
in Mylar bags.
I hate that so
No
much.
smelling, like that's what I'm saying. So the bud
I
tending
have
is
to go
different.
off
Like
brands. I have to, if I want to buy weed in Washington, I literally have to call buddies and be like, hey, I'm trying to buy an eighth. And they're like, why are you calling me? And I'm like, no, I'm not trying to buy, like, how the fuck, like, who should I buy from? And they're like, oh, okay, what are you looking for? I'm like, I'm looking for a hard indica. And they'll have to tell me what to go to the store and buy because I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly. Because there's tier one, tier two, tier three, but there's also companies that have all three of those, and they go under different names and don't want to be affiliated with each other, and
Right, right, right.
yeah, like the whole corporate side of it is just super shisty.
And
But
Oregon, like I go up to the counter, I mean, let me smell that.
yeah,
50% of the jig is up right there when
yeah,
I smell it. So I've bought some, no, don't get me wrong, I bought some really good smelling weed that was like whatever.
yeah,
But a lot of times you smell it and you're like, nope, that easy.
exactly.
And I
Yeah, you
hate
kind of
when
know
you
what
buy
to
an eighth and you smell it and you're like, fuck, I don't even want to smoke this.
Yeah, right here, yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's just drastically different because like they'll be in like a glass jar. You're definitely not smelling that. Sometimes we can like, maybe
Right.
crack the seal a little bit on the inside of the bag without like actually opening it because you can't have any open containers in our store either. Like
Yeah.
no unsealed packages, which is just lame. But yeah, so it's a whole different art of like selling the weed because like really they got to take your word for it and based on your own experience.
Well, right,
Like
right. And some people like that.
yeah, yes. There's some people that literally will come in and just be like, "What's your choice? You work here, you must know what you're doing," kind of thing like that. But yeah, then you find your brand snobs that only smoke a certain thing, or it's there's always going to be the ones that come in here. What's the highest THC, or what's the most expensive one you got in here? Because that must be the best. And it's just you're in a position to where yeah,
Okay,
there's some
burner.
yeah, like there's some people you can educate, but then there's also some where you have to just kind of accept the fact that this man is stuck in his ways and he ain't
Right.
here. Yeah, he's not hearing anything you're trying to tell him.
Well, and some
So
people are just looking for like a certain, they want a certain kind of genetics in their weed. They don't care the quality. They just want like, I know that like Afghans do good for me. So they're gonna come in like, what Afghans do you have? You know what I mean? Or they'll
yeah,
come in, they'll be like, what cookie strains do you have? And they're not talking about a brand. They're talking about like
exactly.
they
Lineage. Yeah,
want Zookies or Thin Mint Girl Scout cook some cookie strain. They don't care what kind of cookie strain. They just want
exactly.
a cookie strain, something with cookies in it, and that's
Yeah,
fine. But like sometimes you're like you want to be like, you don't want that, sir. You don't want that cookies right there.
yeah, but it's like you can't tell him anything else, and that's
Right?
they're
Yeah.
not hearing any of it. So that's like you just got to go along with it.
So do you get free samples at the store you work at?
Man, I do, and sometimes they're actually overwhelming because when I'm out front, I answer probably at least 5 or 6 a day. They're either checking up on samples that they may have sent us, or they want to drop by and bring more samples because everybody's trying to get their product on the shelves, and that's how you make more money and such. But yeah, I never thought I'd be at the point where things are overwhelming because
Right.
the samples are, yeah, it's nice to get the samples just being a part of the industry, but this is also like homework type things. So I have to be able to kind of give an honest review on these products, like, whether it's something we should start
Yeah.
carrying, something we already carry that I want to suggest to them. Like, no, this is terrible weed. Don't get it, And so, like, it's not like you can just smoke one after another, after another, after another.
Well, right. And sometimes you
Yeah,
got to spend some time with a strain to figure
yeah,
out. And then
exactly.
if you're bringing home what 5-6 grams a day,
Exactly.
it
Their
all of a
space
sudden
is
becomes your
almost there.
job to like review weed. And I don't know about you, but that doesn't always sound fun.
No, so yeah, I definitely got to pace myself with it for sure. Like that's what I'll start out and review one, and then after that, it's like it's a free for all. It's like I'm just getting baked, man. Like,
Right, 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 right.
yeah. So I mean, but yeah, it's definitely been fun. Like I said, I've learned quite a few things. So, it's also opened up the doors because like I said, I initially just wanted to make a name for myself in this industry. Um, there's a lot of events that I get invited to, just as like being a part of the industry. They do a lot of budtender appreciation events
Right.
or just putting together just underground events for cannabis creators, users, whatever. So that has definitely been an opportunity and door that's been opened for me, taking full advantage of that. I'm actually going to a brand sponsored one of my favorite farms actually recently, Ui. It's they're having like a little food and smoke sesh tomorrow night, and I'm going out to that. Hopefully network and make a couple more connections and further my reach.
That
That's what the
sounds
name of the
awesome,
game is
man.
here.
I've seen
Yeah,
you. I've seen you. I know back in the day you were going to a couple of those in Seattle, and I saw
yeah,
you like meeting up with like some fairly big YouTube names and taking pictures and stuff.
yeah. There was one event that I did with like I'd actually met up with Koala Puffs. She's a pretty big name, and
Yeah.
Redman. Yeah, so Redman, he actually is the producer of this essentially like a an online podcast type of show called the Dab Roast. And so they do quite a few different types of things. Like they'll do like documentary style with a tour of facility, a processing facility for concentrates, or they just do sit down interviews with comedians and such. Like this most recent one they had last month, they had Doug Benson, the comedian who did
Oh,
the movie
wow,
Super
yeah.
High. Yeah, so he had came by, and also the Seattle Sonics legend Sean Kemp. He has a dispensary out this way, and he works very closely with the Red Man as well as the Dab Roast. So he's always a part of that and always at these events. And that event that I went to at Koala Puffs, he was there, and it was pretty entertaining. I was trying to get some footage of me smoking with the legend here, but this man is 6'10" and I am not. So
Right.
I was trying to angle this. I ended up taking actually about 3-4 steps in front of him just to make sure I got him in the shot. Man, but it's been some pretty surreal experiences, very whirlwind. The connections I've been able to make so quickly too. And
Oh,
being
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's just or being recognized. I was telling you, I don't know if I had touched on it. When I went on that road trip to Maine, there was a couple times, New Mexico, I think it was Utah. There was a couple places, I wore my robe all the way across the country. And there was a couple people that recognized me. It was crazy. They yelled out, "Hey, Bong Marley!" I'm sitting there looking around, don't know where to look, who to look for.
Oh,
It's
yeah. Like, dude, and
yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people are like, dude, come to my house, smoke weed with me, man.
yeah, it's like yeah, it's
And
like
then
I'd
like
love
on one
to,
hand
but
you're like, yeah, man, and then you're also like, man,
still stranger danger. Yeah,
like
like
I'm in the deep south, and
yeah.
like I don't know what kind of weed this guy's got, and also like I don't need to be staying in this town. Like,
Yeah, yeah. See that? Yeah, that was actually one thing that I did actually go through Utah, and at the hotel I stopped in, and I came in, and the kid at the counter, man, he took a couple deep breaths, smelled the air, and he was like, "Man, from around here, are you?"
oh
I was
boy,
like, "No."
yeah.
I was like, "Man, I ain't gonna be here long either. I'm going in the morning, man."
Yeah, just tonight, man. I'll keep it down.
Yeah,
I won't be allowed. You know what I'm saying? Oh
yeah,
yeah, dude. Well, it's like one of those things. Like I get a little free pass, or people, I don't know, because like I'll come in, but
yeah,
I'll have a more conservative haircut when I do drive cross country. But I'll
yeah.
lead with a military ID, so they're all like, "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Oh, sir." And I'll be like my eyes will be like deep red because as soon as I pull up to the hotel and I know they have a vacancy and I know I'm staying there because it's the only one hotel in Rollins, Nevada with vacancies, like
Yeah.
I started hitting my vape like it owed me money.
Yeah. Luckily, I never ran into too many like issues as far as conservative places where they gave me issues. Like he his questions were more out of fascination rather than like suspicion of, oh, I'm gonna call the cops on
Oh
you.
yeah.
It was like, it was like a novelty to him, like, man, like you're
Yo,
outside,
man,
you're
what's the
doing something
world like?
right, highly illegal, man. You're just here blatant, like don't care. Yeah, I think that was just the part that fascinated him. And that's like when I'm in Seattle a couple times. Um, there's usually a lot of Japanese tourists, and they
Oh
are
boy.
almost always the one taking pictures and recording me as I'm doing these public bong rips. So that's always it's always funny to add that to the experience. There, like
Oh
don't
yeah.
gawk, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's a sight to see.
Well, and I was tripping because I started following you right before you went on your trip out to Maine.
Yeah,
And when you started driving at first, I was like, okay, well, bong rips out, and there's not really many of that people. And then you just like were like in Nebraska or some shit, like doing bong rips outside a gas station. And I'm like, I want to be like, bro, you understand this isn't Seattle, right?
man. You see the way I look at it, honestly, and I feel like knock on wood, but I feel like it's worked for me. If I just carry myself like I'm not doing something illegal, then I don't think anybody else is gonna feel the same way. You know what
You
I
know
mean?
what, man? Let's just hope you keep your plot armor for now. All right. God damn.
Man, fingers crossed that's the hope. But it's like I'm never like sketch about it. I just kind of just own it. You
Right.
know what I mean? Just
See, I got to be
go for
squeaky clean when I drive across country because even if I'm not doing nothing wrong, I think cops think I look guilty.
it. Yeah, okay. Like, some of us just got the bad luck. It's okay. I get it.
Yeah, it's just like I'm up to no good, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm fine. But nah, this cop is convinced that I have
Yeah,
drugs, even when I don't. Sometimes I do, but usually I don't. But
yeah.
like, so
Well,
you
they're
have
just
a
not worth the risk. I get it.
no, 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 no. I know you have a collection of bongs. Can I ask how large?
Oof, man. Man, I honestly, I stopped counting at around 40. I think I'm probably maybe around 50 or so.
Oh wow, okay.
Only because like I said, I get there's a couple of subscription boxes that like Idea or not Ideas, Daily High Club and
Right.
Temper Box.
Yeah.
They send them every month just as like a thing for promotion. So, that adds up very quickly on top of
Right.
things that I already buy. I don't have like a schedule on buying them. Like it's more just like kind of when I see them. The
Okay.
temptation has been a lot more difficult, being that I now work at a shop where they're readily accessible. I get a pretty decent discount, so there are more
Right.
factors in play now. I'm fighting a lot more temptation.
See, and I only personally own, and my listeners are gonna be like only. I think I own only I personally like 7 or 8 mongs. Um, but I own significantly more in like little glass pieces and stuff. Like
Yeah,
we
I hear you.
started collecting spoons and stuff, I think, before we started collecting bigger bongs. So I think if you found every spoon that we've got on like sitting on a shelf in our house or like in our bong cabinet, yes, I have one. Um, it adds up pretty quick. So I think I've probably got more than 50 pieces of glass in this house, easy.
Yeah,
But I don't think I've got 50 water bongs, like bongs, like no
yeah.
way.
See,
One
and
day,
that I didn't see. I don't have any spoons or anything like that. All of my glass is like bongs or like I think the smallest one I have is probably I think 6, maybe 7 inches. I got a couple small like bubbler
so
type
it's
bongs.
it's a bubbler, but it's still a damn bong, really. When you
Yeah,
get right
you
to
know what I mean. Like so, yeah, I got
gotta live up to
everything
your
in
name
between.
and somehow, right?
Exactly. That's my thing. I love bongs,
Do
man.
you
Like
ever roll
like
joints?
I do roll joints. They're just like far and few in between, and it's usually like a special occasion, or if I just actually feel like rolling.
Right.
The art of rolling one. That's but most of the time, yeah, it's just glasses. I'm Bong Marley. It's
Yeah. I kind of vacillate between those two. Like I don't touch my pipes very often anymore. And when I do, it's usually specifically to smoke hash. Specifically, I'll smoke hash
That's
through a long,
understandable.
yeah. Good hash. I should be specific, like good, like dry sift or bubble hash. I have a couple pipes that I gravitate towards for that. But other than that, it's bongs or papers all day, every day.
Yeah, and it's wild. Like that's also another thing is working at a dispensary. It's like being a kid in a candy store, man. There's just
Oh
options
yeah.
for days. It's something you never get tired of. You always something new to try. At least that's how I looked at it, and I thought most people would look at it. But there are a few of the customers that come in. One gentleman in particular, he has came in probably every 3 days since I've been there, and he only orders the exact same thing every time. He gets this Lebanese red hash, the special press. Yeah, it's all he gets there. Like, I mean,
That sounds good though. Like if you're only
it
gonna
is
smoke one kind of hash, I mean, it might as
it,
well be Lebanon that, right? That
it
sounds
is
dumb by
good,
him.
but like it is blows my mind the consistency, the willpower. I don't know. I feel like that almost takes a certain level of discipline. Like, yes, you like something, but to never get anything else, that is like brain power. You've told your brain this is the only thing that will suffice.
You know, if like there are certain like cannabis like cuts or plants that I've grown in the past that if you could just have a magical dispenser that just dispensed a nug of that to me, there are certain
Yeah,
strains that I would probably just smoke that at the time. Like
yeah,
so, for instance, there's like a nighttime indica. There was this specific cut of Thin Mint Girl Scout cookies that my buddy kept giving me for 2 years. And
yeah.
every one I grew out. And I know it's not always a night strain, but this thing would just put me to bed proper. Got me high as fuck when I smoked it during the day and stayed awake. Like just like you know how like some weed starts like even though I've got a heavy tolerance, you smoke enough of a heavy indica, it'll kind of give you that narcotic drag, almost like you're drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would just do that for me every time in a way I liked. And
I see, and that is hard to find. So I understand that completely. That like, especially with like building up a tolerance and brain chemistry adapting, like it's hard to find that one strain that will do it for you every time.
oh yeah, and it broke my heart when the guy working for him gave me out the mother to grow instead of a cut because there was a dispute. Because
Yeah,
by the
I
time we figured out what had happened, it was already in the ground. There was no getting it out. It was
yes,
rough.
there was one. There's probably only been one strain that's been like that, and it was a UW Black that Rogue Raven, one of the early big names in legal cannabis here in Washington State. That was kind of their thing, their specialty. And man, like I would pick that up in addition to everything else that I got, for as long as I could. And it was probably a good 3-4 months.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, just to make sure I didn't lose it. I wanted to get as much as I could before it goes away. 'Cause
Yeah, there's
my
a there's a, there's a strain right now at a local dispensary that they've been growing on rotation and they keep pulling more in. And I would tell you what it is, but I made this mistake on the podcast before. And one of my friends, I swear, someone who listens to me all the time, went and bought out my favorite weed. So I'm not doing
yeah,
that
see,
anymore until they
you
run
see, and
out.
unfortunately, the only reason that I am name dropping is because this farm and their whole facility and everything burned to the ground.
See,
And
I'll
so,
tell people grow out Thin Mint Girl Scout cookies. Yes, get that. Because the more people that buy it, and eventually, if the more people that grow out seeds, someone's going to find that cut again. And then if I
yeah,
get
so
famous enough, they'll send it to me. See, I don't want to get famous for money. I want to get famous for free genetics. Send me clones, motherfuckers.
exactly. Yeah, so like they no longer exist. Apparently, they're still in the process of rebranding and rebuilding and getting things going. But it's like,
No.
I feel like it's just never going to be the same. Like everything burned to the ground, they lost everything. That is just,
I feel like
that is
that's
just a
the
lot.
story of a lot of genetics is like house fires back in the day, especially.
Yeah, like it's just very unfortunate because there's a whole lot of what ifs or shoulda, coulda, woulda. There's just
Right.
yeah, but we won't go into that kind of heartbreak or anything like that.
No, no. And I tend to like and I kind of like anything else I try if I'm really into it, I'll overdo it. So I tend to only do limit myself. So I only buy like one bong a year. And as
Oh
you
yeah,
are
see
probably,
that
yeah,
that is definitely not me.
but I've been smoking weed now for God, more than 10 years, I
Oh
think.
yeah, see,
So
there we go.
so like I've broken a couple, but I've had that many bongs. So like after a while, I've got a
Well, I mean,
variety.
that's kind of a rite of passage. I feel like at a certain point, like you gotta break a substantial piece to really be considered pothead. You know, it means you've been in the game long enough.
Oh
Everybody
yeah.
breaks one. It's
Oh,
just the
I've
name of the
broken
game.
several, and if you want to talk
Yeah,
bowl
just
pieces and down stems, there's a legion of dead soldiers on the field if that's the case.
right. The ghosts still loom.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I wanted to ask you, so next I keep telling myself every year, this is the year I'm actually gonna buy a straight tube, and I
Yeah.
never do. I always buy another beaker. So maybe 2023 is the year I'll get a straight tube. Do you think it's worth it? I've never owned one.
I honestly do think it's worth it. The reason being is because, like I said, it is what it sounds like. It's a straight tube. I feel like the bone grips are a little more direct because they got nowhere else to go. Um, Also, I have found that they travel easier for me when I want to do like my public bong rip. Sometimes being
Oh,
because
okay.
yeah, one big thing is they don't require nearly as much water as a beaker. You
Right.
know, you can just kind of put a few splashes of water in a straight tube and kind of so my setup when if I got to do something where I got to get in and out pretty quick, it's a whole lot easier. I don't have to have as much water. It's just a lot easier process. But yeah, there's quite a few benefits. Like I said, it's just sometimes it can be a smoother hit for me.
Okay.
Just depending on the size of it, or if I have like an inline perk at the bottom, something like that. But yeah, the straight tubes, I highly recommend them for sure.
That was my next question. Now, so like there's a couple different ways you can go with a straight tube, right? You can go with like a built-in down stem with an inline perk,
Yeah,
or you can go with a removable down stem.
exactly. And I have both varieties.
Which would you say you would start with?
Honestly, I would probably say start with just your classic with the stem. I
Yeah.
prefer stemless because it's like one less piece of glass at risk of breaking
Right.
when I and that's what I usually travel with is my stemless the stemless straight tubes.
Yeah.
Just because like I said, it's less glass to worry about.
Yeah.
When I'm like having it packed up in the backpack and everything like that, I don't want to always have to have so
Right.
many pieces separated. But yeah, like I guess that. But I mean, I honestly overall I prefer beakers, but straight tubes with the down stem or the preferred one. For to start out with, I would say.
Okay. I might not listen to you. I might get an inline
It's
stem
okay,
too.
man. You don't have to. You
Yeah.
don't have to. That's the beauty of it, man. It's your ball. You don't have
But
to.
but you do bring up an interesting point because if you have a removable down stem and you don't like the way that it diffuses, you can just go get a different one. And that
Yeah,
is a versatility that would be in that I wouldn't have otherwise.
exactly.
So like
Yeah,
I
so
don't know, like go ahead, sorry.
I don't know. See, like for you, there's a lot more to weigh out. Me, I appreciate glass. So like I can pretty much grab it if it looks nice. I mean, I'm gonna make sure it's not too janky and too China made to where it's like crooked and But other than that, I don't discriminate too much with my glass.
Right. So I was gonna that was
Yeah.
kind of my next questions. Like, do you have like
Oh,
so like I have a fairly substantial bong collection, and there are some bongs that I only use on special occasions, either because they're son of a bitch to clean,
yeah,
or they're hard hitters, and if you're gonna hit them, it's kind of an event. Like that 3 footer. Like I only bring that out for certain people because some people they're not gonna have fun. It's just gonna ruin their night.
yeah. I
And
get
other
that.
people are gonna die, but then they're gonna come back from the grave, and we're gonna have a great time. It just depends on the
Exactly.
person. Like, do you like? And I know a lot of times is how I get. Like, you ever hit something this big, and they're like, "Yeah," and they drool a little bit. I'm like, "Okay, all right, come on, come on, friend, let's have fun." But
Exactly.
do you have one bong that you gravitate towards more than the others on the daily?
Man, yeah, honestly, it's probably going to be my guru beaker
Okay,
or my 20-inch Cyclone straight tube. Those two, the straight tube traveled back and forth to Maine with me, and that was the one I did most of my shots going across country with. Was
Wow.
that
Okay.
one. And I've also dropped that one like 8 feet, and it just had a small chip. So I'm
Nice.
happy with it. Yeah, that one is. I think that one was very dear and near to my heart.
And the Guru, is that big one you have? That like, how long
Oh,
is that one?
so yeah, that giant beaker, that's Guru, but that's also I also have a smaller one that's probably about I think it's the 16-inch. That
Okay.
one's kind of one of my daily drivers there. It has just a small perk in the upper tube there.
Yeah, see, I bought one of these on a Memorial Day sale. I would never pay full price for this because I'm cheap and I'd be
Hey, nothing
embarrassed
wrong with
too.
that, man.
I had a Tank Max that I bought a while ago, like I think in 2020.
Oh, there we
Um,
go.
and I keep gravitating toward it because it's not percolated, but if you put an ice cube, the way the ice cube catches, it's got a ring, so it kind of
Yeah.
makes like the ice jiggle on it, and it makes like its own little perk almost.
Oh, I like it.
And
Yeah.
then it's just a regular like line diffuser down stem, just a straight, I think it's 16 inches, so kind of like yours, 15 inches, just a big bong, but not to the point like it'll stretch your lungs out if you want it to, but not to the point where you can't take you can't just sit there and smoke on it. You know what I mean? You can enjoy yourself with this.
Yeah. And like see with me though, honestly, I'll be on the lookout for these large bongs because I feel like lungs are just like a muscle, man. I'm trying to stretch it out and make it as strong as possible, and I'm trying to take the biggest hit I can. So like I want to meet my match. And I haven't really met it yet. A couple, put up a fight, but I haven't really met my match. The one where I've said like absolutely not to. I want to
See,
find that bong.
one that you keep trying to clear and you can't.
Yeah, I want to find one that it turns into a special occasion because my other ones are becoming a bit more frequent where they're like it's
Right,
no
yeah.
longer a big deal anymore.
Well, when I first got this is and I'll be honest for the folks because I hate to lie, it's 2 feet 10 inches tall, so it's not quite 3 feet. But we're nice to her and we give her 2 inches.
Hey,
Uh,
on camera it looks 3 feet.
right. So my big 3 foot bong, it when I tried to make it a daily driver and I was starting to develop a cough, which I
Yeah,
don't
there
normally have.
was like I saw about 4 days in a row, man. I saw that one like I was like, man, he's keeping it in rotation for a while.
I was trying, and then I was like, and then I had to give up because I couldn't do it. And so now I bring it out, and it'll go on a rotation. Like I'll have a day where I'm just ripping on that thing. But if I do it for more than one day, like I think everyone's lungs have a limit, and like you said, you're trying to find your limit. Like I
Yeah.
think I'm just about there. Like maybe I could clear a 4 foot beaker, but I don't think I could do it more than once a day, or even like once a
Yeah,
week.
it's the one thing that like helps beforehand is like, see, I started out, I would just do what I can to milk it, but then as soon as like that milk reached the top, that's when I would kind of exhale, take another breath there because it's just all air. You're not even getting the hit out
Yeah.
of there. But now I'm just like, nah, man. From the time I light it, man, I'm inhaling that shit.
That's how I
Like,
feel too. And that's how,
yeah,
well,
like,
I like to me, like I see people doing that. And I think if you can, you should fill it and clear it in the same breath. Cause one,
yeah,
it tastes better. That's the best
yeah.
taste. The
You can't let
longer,
it sit.
once
Yeah,
it's sitting on top of that water in that chamber, bad stuff is happening to that smoke. It's getting
exactly.
wet and it doesn't even make sense. But you really need to get it out of there. And the longer it stays in there, the more rancid it's going to taste.
Yeah, man. I'm not a fan of it, man. So I'm trying to get it in my lungs as fast as possible.
And if I really break down and I can't clear something because I hit it wrong or I choked or whatever,
Yeah.
I'll take the bowl out and put my lips on the downstem and blow it out. I won't hit it. If it's been in there for like more than like 30 seconds,
Oh yeah,
bye.
that's rough. That's a no go, man. That's asking for a bad time. You're
You
gonna
know
hack
what the
all.
worst though is people that don't clear the bong, but they almost do. So you can't really
Just leave
tell if it's
that a little bit
dark.
of milk. Yeah.
And then
Oh,
and
can't
then so
stand it.
your first you don't know and you can't taste it at first. So you'll be hitting it and all of a sudden you'll be like, what's wrong? And then you're like, oh God, and they got you. They poisoned your hit.
Exactly. It's tainted. It's
Yeah,
yeah, it's terrible. Like just clear your milk, man. Just cardinal rule. Just,
And honestly, no one in the circle is gonna look at you weird if you hit an empty bong to make sure it's clear. They're gonna appreciate. I always do that because
exactly.
I take some big rips, and I know that sometimes like I'm not done when I have to stop. So like,
Yeah,
you have to go back and finish it, and sometimes you just have to work through it. Everyone's gonna wait. They'll be fine.
exactly. It's just proper etiquette. Finish what's on your plate, you know?
So to
Yeah.
change the topic a little bit because I'm bored and I haven't been able to work out as heavy because I had surgery a while ago and I'm still waiting on the year post so I can lift weights. I'm noticing that
Yeah.
you've been lifting weights a lot recently on the Insta.
Yeah. I'm trying to get back into the gym. And so I used to lift probably was it 20 I want to say 2016, 2017 or so. I was doing a little bit of lifting then, but a lot of life happened and I kind of just took a break from it and it just got further and further on the back burner.
Right.
So this past summer I just decided, what the hell, let me restart the Y membership and just see what happens. And it was, as with anything, it was a little tricky at first, kind of until I developed it as a habit.
Right.
But man, I've actually had loads of fun, and it's exciting to see your improvements.
Right.
You know, just the little things for life. It's good for self esteem. It's good for your health. It's good for the mood. It helps quite a bit of everything. So yeah, I've been having fun with that. Learning quite a bit along the way.
How often a week are you going?
I'm trying to just with the work schedule. I've been doing like every other day.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to sneak a couple more in just to kind of increase the intensity, just because I've
Right.
kind of been at that. I've been at that for a while now.
Right.
But as with anything, you need to kind of switch it up a little bit to challenge yourself and also get new growth in, and that's what I'm looking for now is just a little more of a challenge. But yeah,
Well,
it's proving difficult with, like I said, balancing the work jobs, the schedule, and such.
not
Yeah.
to be a creepy gains bro, but I've noticed that your arms have gotten bigger since the beginning of the summer. So that's
Oh
what
yeah,
it takes, bros. Every
yeah.
other day. And are you
At
lifting?
the least, man.
Well, right, and you can't start out doing that. Like I'm gonna be so horribly weak when I start, and I'll have to be careful because I'm starting from
Oh,
scratch.
definitely,
So like
definitely.
I'll go once a week, and then I'll go twice a week after the first 3 weeks. I want it to be
Yeah,
dumb
and
and
that's
smart
honestly
about
the
it.
healthiest way to do it because yeah, if you try to go gung ho, I mean, it's like everybody when they watch like a kung fu movie, everybody wants to do that right after the movie's over because you got that adrenaline going and
Yeah.
everything. But in all reality, come on, now we know we're not capable of it, so you got to take your baby steps in, just to not injure yourself, and that's the first thing that's gonna happen, and all it does is set you back.
How often? So do you do cardio, or is it mainly just the hiking and stuff you've always been doing?
Yeah, like I said, I do a little bit of cardio while I'm there. I try to get a little treadmill and a little bit of the ellipticals, the bike machines and such.
Yeah.
But yeah, since I do take a lot of walks, a lot of it's not needed, and because I am trying to get a little size on it, I don't want to do too much cardio to lose because that's kind of detrimental to the gains and such.
Bong
It's a very
Marley said he's trying to get big, bro.
yeah. I'm trying to get big, bro. Yeah, it's something has to change, man. I got to make the tattoos look better because I'm getting all these tattoos. Gotta
Oh yeah. You gotta make them pop. Get a vein back there. Really make those
exactly,
colors pop.
something like that, man. Definitely. I know. I just added another tattoo. What was that? Probably a little over a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago or so.
Okay.
And man, I was a little concerned because, like, man, I had to take actually a few days pause from the gym just because, man, the stomach, it is not a nice place to get
No.
tattooed. And so it was like certain movements, just a little dribble of sweat, like anything was just like, yeah, I feel every bit of that. So
Yeah,
I
like
had to stay
honestly,
with
people
that.
ask like, "What's the worst part of getting the tattoo?" And I'm like, they're like 4 weeks after, and they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, getting a tattoo is not that bad, but then
Yeah.
I can't take a bath because I have like sore like, and then my skin burns. Like that's the worst. Like I don't. If it was just the tattoo day and then it was over, oh my god, I'd be covered.
And I felt that way up until this one because I have quite a few tattoos, but this was honestly the first tattoo that hurt. This one made me feel alive.
Okay.
That like the other ones was a walk through the park. I was dozing off. Everything else, the arms, the chest. But man,
Yeah.
once he hit certain spots in that stomach, like I
Okay.
said, yep, I am human. I am definitely human. That's for
So,
sure.
can you do bigger rips after a lifting session, or does it make you feel like depleted and like you don't have as big as
So
big?
I honestly feel like if I were to just I don't know. Honestly, I feel like if I were to just lift, then yeah, I may be too depleted. But the cardio, I feel like is what really opens up my lungs with like the oxygen and everything like that. And that actually, I feel like improves the bong rips. I feel like I am able to take the bigger bong rips, and that's honestly one of the reasons I like to go take long walks.
Right.
Is I enjoy the scenery, but it keeps the lungs fresh oxygen and such. It's always good to keep the lungs healthy. It's the most
See,
important part, about
see, Bong Marley says, "Do your cardio, Jim Bros."
definitely
He
cardio is
says not
needed,
too
not
much
just
because you'll get in front of the gains, but like take a long walk, jog for 10
definitely
minutes.
long walks. Don't need like 3 mile runs, but long
Do
walks will do it, man. Just enough to get the heart rate up.
you listen to music while you lift?
I do. It definitely helps kind of keep a rhythm going and things like that because I feel it is one of those things. Maybe it's just psychological, but if I go to the gym, I'm just watching kind of everybody else. I don't really have the same motivation as if I have like music in my head.
Right.
It's just a different kind of like it puts you in your own little zone. It kind of tunes everybody else out because you can always tell the people that don't have music. There's a couple of them in there and they look around quite a bit. So stop looking at me, man. Like, do your own workout. Get into your own zone. Like, let me
Like
concern
you
what I'm doing.
painted that alien on your body so I could stare at it while I get pumped.
Man, I one thing though, the old timers that are in the weight room, they are not shy about staring, and they will stare directly. And I know they are trying to squint at all my tattoos. And in my head, I'm thinking, please don't come over here and talk to me.
What's that
That's
say on
all.
your arm?
Yeah, pretty much. They're staring hard.
Oh man. And you know what? I think something happens to you as you get older. Because I can
Yeah,
feel it start to happen and I fight it. But I'm like 36 now and I can feel I can see 40 off in the distance. And I don't even have kids. And I've started doing stereotypical dad shit, like talking to people that I have no reason to talk to just because it's quiet and I can't take the silence. I'm like, let me say some awkward shit to this person I don't need to talk to. I do that shit
yeah,
all the
yeah,
time now.
yeah. I'm a little guilty of that one too. I mean, it just kind of comes with the territory, I guess.
So what kind of music do you listen to while you lift?
Man, honestly, like I said, you would think like I would go more for something upbeat, but a lot of times I like to listen to like oldies music. I like to listen to a lot of like 60s, 70s, like
Okay.
Motown music, just kind of because I feel like I don't know, the gym is therapy for me in a sense, it's cheaper than actually going to a therapist. So, I like to really go to a happy place and I get
Oh,
anxiety
okay.
from time to time. So I don't want to be too wound up. I'm not the type. I don't need to be wound up to lift the heavy weights. I just need to kind of be calm, in my happy place, really. Like, I don't feed off of negative energy, one of those type of things like that's gonna be my motivation. No, like knowing that something is going to better myself and make me more at peace is my motivation there because I don't like to be angry. I was a very angry person when I was a kid, and I handled things the wrong way. I used to like to fight,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah. I
as
don't
I,
I don't
as I
fight anymore, but I still
yeah,
I still like to exercise to some pretty like aggro music for sure.
oh yeah, there's some times where it's needed to get going, but overall, like I said, I just because of like where my mind is at, I don't want to be aggressive about it. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure, for sure. Well, and
Yeah,
I think we're going to be in different environments too. Like I can get as aggro as I want. I'm going to be most likely when I start lifting this winter. It's going to
yeah,
be me and a bench and a Bluetooth speaker in my dimly lit garage. And so
yeah,
it's going to be a kind of a different vibe. It's going to be dimly lit. It's going to be very German in there, aggressively so, not problematically so, but aggressively so. And
hey, whatever gets it done.
there's gonna be some people with black spray paint, black face paint in my speaker screaming some abominable things while I
Yes.
lift embarrassingly light weights to start out.
Hey, but everybody has to start somewhere and only get better from there. So
That's
that's the
right.
beauty of
Well,
it.
thank you so much for being on the Backseat Chronicles. Oh no, I thought I was out. I thought I was nope. Yeah, I asked everything.
No, yeah. It's all good, man. I always look forward to this, man. This is definitely one of my favorite things to do, man. Just come on here and just kick the shit with you, man. I love it.
Yeah,
For sure.
it's always good to have you on. I really enjoy speaking to you, and I always enjoy your very upbeat attitude toward everything. It's not always my default, and so I appreciate bringing it on and feeding off of it. Hopefully not like a vampire.
No, you're good, man. But for sure, no, that's really what I like, man. That's all part of my mission is, man. Like I just want to reach one, teach one kind of thing, and help somebody, feel better about themselves. If I can share that energy, that's then my job is done. So, like I said, that's mission accomplished there.
Is there anything you'd like to plug before you get out of here?
Man, so yeah, the OG account is still the Real Bong Marley, but like I said, it's been long enough, man. It's been about 5 months now. I really don't think they're giving that one back to me.
Oof.
So yeah, the current account is the Bong Marley official.
Okay.
Bong Marley official. That is the current Instagram handle there.
Follow him online for weightlifting, giant bong rips, and a variety of different glass pieces.
Yeah,
and he also
time to time, all of it.
yeah, he also likes to use food and foodstuffs as bong water from time to time. And if you're into that, you should check
I
that
know
out.
that's one thing I'm trying to start consistency wise. We gotta start it back up. It's been a while. It took a little break, but it's back now. We're back.
Well, I'm not gonna ask you to like start making cakes and put them in your bong again yet. I'll be patient and let you do you recharge the batteries, as it were.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the Backseat Chronicles. Bong, the real Bong Marley. Everyone, check him out. And we are done. Let's overgrow the world. You can reach me, Uncle Dig, on Instagram at Uncle Dig. The bumper music on this podcast was produced by Chad DeVilliers on ukulele. He can be followed on YouTube at Ukuleles Are Stupid or on Instagram at Chadwick Enterprises. Thank you for listening to the Backseat Chronicles.